It's title finale season. It is one of the great tracks which ends all racing championships, and to pick up big points and to pick up big realities, you need to be at your very, very best to get exactly what's needed. Two drivers and one needing a little bit of help here today to get himself over the line. He may not have it, but everything you can possibly give, you put on the table at the finale race here. It is Interlagos, Autodromo Jose Carlos base, and it's here with SimSpeed TV for the final round of your iRacing Grand Prix Series. My name's Jake Sperry. I'm joined alongside, as per usual, by Cameron Dance here in for the party. We are in qualifying right now here, 8 minutes, 2 laps to figure everything out, and everyone is going to be on the edge of their seats as Matteo Ugolotti and Matt Wood are split by just 55 points here as they come into this final round here in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yeah, certainly. It's looking like it's going to be a very, very close showdown between the two of them, and both of them on track here today. It's certainly going to be a matter of winner takes all, really, but it's probably fair to say Ugolotti's got the upper hand, but who knows what's going to happen.
Exactly, anything is possible, and it normally can happen. This is reliant on strength of field here today for Matt Wood to be able to challenge for this championship. He's 55 points back, and because there are 4 drop rounds here in this championship camp, it means now that when you look at the championship points, Matt Wood needs to win on what was, over the course of this season, the highest strength of field that they had, which scored a maximum of 244 points.
Yeah, so that was certainly a big amount of points you certainly need to gain there to maximise that, and it's certainly not quite played out the way that Matt Wood would have liked it, especially with the fact that he's had a few results that probably could have been a lot better, but certainly he'll try his best and see what he can do from here.
And it's all about now finding realities. The first times will come in then in qualifying right now, and it is Klaus Siemens who puts the best time first on the board of 1:10, but all of a sudden he is beaten out by Dennis Branch, and then Matt Wood who puts a 1:10 flat in, half a second quicker than Klaus Siemens and 0.2 of a second quicker than Dennis Branch in second position. So Matt Wood puts himself exactly where he needs to, and of course we weren't able to bring you pictures of what happened last week at Long Beach, USA, Cam, but the key was Matteo Ugolotti managed to get his license back up into A class, which gave him the opportunity then to race last week and crucially win out on that split, which has got him an almost unassailable position right now.
Yeah, certainly. He managed to grind enough races, or time trials at least, to get that SR back up to where he needed it to be and end up winning that race at Long Beach. He did say he was actually looking forward to getting back out there and wanting to do Long Beach as well. So it clearly proved that he put a lot of effort in and ended up coming away with the result that he wanted it. But certainly today is a different day and it's a whole new round and track. So it's just going to be a matter of seeing what he can do here as he's coming through the first sector of the lap, and yet set a time at the moment on his first flying lap, so we'll see what he's going to lay down, but certainly going to be a very, very good benchmark at the moment with the fact that Matt Wood's just gone to pole with a minute 9.9.
Yes, and he's just ahead of Reynaldo Augusto in second position. Home race for Reynaldo as he tries to go through, but Jorge Martinez goes top then on his first flying lap, 109.849, so he puts himself half a tenth clear in the top split of qualifying. Some brilliant work then being done, but now you start wondering who's got the times. Ugolotti's out there on circuit on his first flying lap. Can he spoil the party, put himself up through top 5 split by 2/10, and he just blisters the top of the timing stands, 109.6, beat that!
Blistering lap, and he made a mistake on that lap as well, so it just goes to show that there's even a little bit extra in the tank. We could possibly even see an 8 here.
We could see a 108 potentially, but it is reliant on pace. We still haven't seen times from the likes of Cedric Beale, Jonathan Oshalim, Kleber Toffoli, John Pat Kelly, and Antonino Sugro out there on track, as Sugro does find his time and he does jump up the order a little bit, then goes to, well, he hasn't yet set the time, but someone else very much did. Adam Webb to 16th position, but We are seeing those times starting to come in. Marquez puts a 1:09.7 down. He will not be able to improve on that time at the moment, but the question becomes, can Ugolotti improve, and by how much can he give himself a buffer? He's only 400ths of a second clear. Cedric Beale will probably be the only real threat that he'll have to deal with left in terms of qualifying efforts, and Beale is more of a racer than a qualifier, if that is to say what you need. 1:09.4 though, but another 3/10 down on the board as clearance. Matteo Ugolotti came to race and came to race quickly.
Yeah, he's certainly stamped his authority already, and we're only in qualifying, so he's going to be the man to beat, and certainly is going to be putting his best foot forward to try and finish this championship off on a high. So we'll see what he can do in the race. But Cedric Beale coming through the final few corners on the front straight, he's going to look to try and improve on this lap time. Comes across the line, puts himself P6.
1:10 flat, and it's very crowded in around that 1:10 flat range. So Beale into P6. He has reason to be happy with that. John Pat Kelly and Antonino Sugro are drivers on laps, as is Kleber Toffoli, who is in 8th position at the moment. So those drivers are the only ones who can really make any shade of improvement out here on circuit. John Pat Kelly we will focus on at the moment, making his run to the line. Hasn't yet set a representative lap time. 1:10.9 is good enough for 19th position, just behind Adam Webb in the number 13 machine. Antonino Sugro then will look to try and make his progress. He's from Club Italy out at the moment, and he'll be looking to try and move up the order. The slowest time of the day so far is a 13:1 set by Jonathan Oshaleem out on track. So here comes Sugro. That's an 11:7, so he jumps up into 23rd, just ahead of Benjamin van der Herven out on track. And now Kleber Toffoli, the last driver over the line. He's on a 1:10.1 at this stage, and he will not improve on his lap time. So that is everybody then across the start-finish line, and this is going to be how everyone then is going to be sorting things out then over qualifying. Matteo Ugolotti then, 1:09.407, does take the pole position and takes it by 3/10 over Jorge Marquez in second position. His main title rival is Matt Wood, and with the soft as it is at the moment, it looks like he may be in the prime position, is Ugolotti, to wrap up the championship, with Matt Wood finishing qualifying in third. Reynaldo Augusto is fourth on home soil, with Dennis Branch in the Blue Flag Racing car fifth. In the MXS car, it is Cedric Beale in sixth position. Liam Buckley there is in seventh. Great qualifying from him, considering his iRating, with Kleber Toffoli in eighth. Kent Nielsen starts ninth. He's alongside Thomas Knoll in 10th place.
You're going to have Klaus Siemens just behind, and then Nathaniel Porter, and then you're going to have Elk Orez and Ray Graffiel and Tamashane for Brizio Massani, followed by Andres Nielsen, Adam Webb, John Pat Kelly, Travis Vizan Venanzi. There we go, got it out in the end, and then Philip Yates, Jens Strutinsky, Antio Rowe, and then the rest of your field as it is.
Yes, Benjamin van der Herven, Jonathan Oshaleem, and not setting a representative lap time is Isaac Ruska there in the number 26 Club Scandinavia. It's going to be a battle for these drivers, and the key is who's going to be on what tyres starting. Oshaleem and van der Herven are going onto the Yellow Ward medium compound tyres. Everybody else in the field is on a regular soft compound tyre. Start off the race, which is the traditional way to go forward. We've got track temperature and conditions up on screen for you. It's 42 degrees here today, which means it is hot as anything here in Brazil, as we are in the middle of the summer sun, I think is the right way to say it right now, as they will all have to battle incredibly hard with the tyres today. It might be a two-stop strategy that wins it out overall, and I definitely don't see those soft lasting for an incredibly long time. 47 lap starts now, though, and we get ourselves going. Horrible start from the second and third rows there from what is Reynaldo Augusto and Dennis Branch. Ugolotti's unchallenged. They are 4 wide in towards turn number 1. Behind there's drama in the background there. That's Adam Webb, I do believe, who found himself spread eagle sideways through the corner, and Beale's gone around. Cedric Beale goes around straight across the circuit. He goes. Has everyone avoided it? Just about they have, as they've all scattered about the circuit like a scattergraph, and they've just about managed to get through unscathed.
Yeah, looks like everybody managed to just get unscathed. A few taking evasive action off to the edge of the road. Liam Buckley, one of them, as well as Ika Orias. But certainly everybody's made it through cleanly, at least so far for the meantime. Gus Emmett's obviously off the road as well and down the order now as a result of what happened at turn 1 with Adam Webb. But at the moment, everybody seems to have sorted themselves out quite nicely.
It's on in the mid-pack, too wide, too deep here. Benanzi is under pressure right now from Tamas Shane, who launches down the inside. Behind that, it's Maysani here, trying to get through on Shane right now. From offense to defense, it does not work. Shane will drop the place here if they get to Jun Sao. He's trying to hold on, and he just about manages to get the place, so very well worked in terms of that one. The top two then are going to be Ugolotti, followed by Martinez. Wood then in third position then, off a very hectic opening lap. And of course, look at this now. Shane still fighting. You've got Webb trying to recover, and there's drama in front of them, because off the road, I believe, goes Nathaniel Porter then in a world of trouble, and someone else then found himself in issues. It was Ray Griffioen.
Yeah, it just looks like contact between Tug and Griffioen just breaking a little bit too late, unfortunately, running into the back of Nathaniel Porter as well, so possibly going to be damage on both of those cars, more specifically going to be on Ray Griffioen's front wing, that's for sure, but not how those two will have helped or wanted to start the race. But looks like Adam Webb is going to find his way back on by through the field now again.
Yes, and every position matters in a race like this. These drivers are fighting for more than championships as well. iRacing and safety rating in an iRacing official series like this is always on the line, so you have to keep that as well focused in the back of the mind also. Cedric Beale making a move. He gets past Benjamin van der Herven and moves up then another position. He's on the recovery after lap 1, and he's managed to navigate his way through the mess and continue forward. Ugolotti, though, on the other hand, look at the gap he's already increased to. He's got 1.5 seconds here over the opening 2 laps.
Yeah, he certainly pulled out a very, very nice gap.
Uh-oh.
And Ugolotti, and that someone's off.
It's a goose though, and that has forced off then to Foley and Nielsen. Nielsen already on the radio then, as suddenly it is going to be Eckert and Laws trying to make a way through on Thomas Knoll. This is the position as well as Laws down the inside and runs about a road, and into the wall goes Ken Nielsen. Nielsen off in front of them, and Toffoli spears straight into the side.
Yeah, nowhere to go, and a couple nearly ending up involved in that again as well. Everybody managing to make it through though, but some very, very close shaves.
Very close shave, not for Clayton Toffoli. That was very much a nick in terms of that one, as the battles all continue on as they go through. A big scrap going on between Shane van der Herven and Adam Webb as well. Webb's got the inside then against van der Herven up to the Bico de Pato corner here. This very tight, slowest point on the circuit, right-hander, and he does get the move almost sorted here through Mahulo, and finally does here in that McLaren MP4-30. So positions going and getting changed all the while here in this one, as meanwhile second and third starts to close up, Martinez and Wood.
Yeah, certainly those two start to close up a little bit at a time, and Martinez trying to run away as best as he can from Matt Wood, but Matt Wood's closing that gap down quite nicely, slightly quicker as well last time by just over a tenth quicker than Martinez, but certainly is going to need to keep on pushing, as he's not going to close that gap down as quickly as he is, as quickly as he probably hoped he would, with the fact that it's only a tenth difference. But they've got Dennis Branch not too far behind as well, running about the same lap times as what Martinez is. So could be a three-way battle coming up shortly.
Certainly could do. So Dennis Branch there in the blue flag racing machine is going to have to be very alert here to the way that he wants to try and get through and gain some places. That's the team with Mark Warmington as their boss over at that area. But now you start to think about settling down in a hectic opening few laps, and every position matters. But right now the train is with Adam Webb. At the moment, we've got Van der Herven, Sugro, Yates, Kelly, Ruska, Maysani and Nielsen trying to hold on, or I should say Nilsson trying to hold on, as well as the first lap then comes in on the board for Matteo Ugolotti. But John Pat Kelly looks like he's in the best position to make a move. It's Philip Yates who is under pressure in the number 22.
It definitely is, and he's going to try his best to try and hold off the charge from behind. Down to the inside though goes Ruska, and he's going to send it very hard, get on by John Pat Kelly in the process. So that's at least one position, but Now they've built a little bit of a gap to Philip Yates as a result of that, and they have to try and chase him back down. But certainly, what a move by Ruska to just fire it up the inside like he did.
He didn't set a time in qualifying, but he's showing he's got pace. And is now side by side. That's Nilsson making his way through on Masani there for what is 17th position on the road. So that's another change of position then that gets sorted out at turn 4. This mid-pack definitely scrapping hard, and you've got Shane and Venanzi there just in front, all trying to work out where they need to be in terms of their races at the moment. But the key is clarity in this race and giving yourself as much room as possible in the early stages, because you don't want to be going out there having a massive scrap and being in a position where you can't really challenge in the later stages. This mid-pack will be looking at where they need to pit, and maybe the first one who comes into the train sets off the domino effect to the rest of the field.
Yeah, certainly very, very possible. That one move's going to pretty much bunch up the entire mid-pack field and cause quite the battle to go on between everybody, but certainly who knows what is going to happen. But everybody's looking to a couple of drivers starting to look like they could be getting involved in battles. Ruska is getting hounded by John Pat Kelly again, who's closed that gap up thanks to DRS, but certainly can't count on any of these drivers to possibly move their way forward to just inside that top 10.
Well, this is the issue that they have as they fight all in this middle pack, as we take a little look from the driver's eye perspective there or thereabouts, is the fact that they've all got DRS against each other, which means that they are mitigating the ways that they can move forward, and effectively you're still stuck in that train. Now, Ruska again under pressure from John Pat Kelly in the middle sector. He looks like he's got something fantastic in the first and third sectors, which means that this is also a track which is very difficult for setup choice.
Yeah, it certainly is, because you're trying to maximise your straight line speed, but you're also trying to make sure that you've got enough downforce and grip to be able to get through the corners. So it's one of those compromised tracks where you want to try and be as quick as you possibly can in a straight line for the front straight and back straight, but it's yeah, certainly just a very, very hard mix that you've got to try and work out.
Mistake up the hill for Jorge Martinez. That was at Junsao, the junction corner, and it's allowed Matt Wood to pounce up into second position down the inside at turn number 1. Easy as you like. So Matt Wood now can focus and try and chase the championship leader and effectively champion-elect at this stage, Matteo Ugolotti.
And we'll get a replay on that thanks to Virtual Racing School to try and digest that one as best as we can. And just looks like he more or less just got a little bit too squirrely on the exit of the final corner, and as a result Matt Wood was just able to fire it up the inside with great ease.
Yeah, it was just a case of being out there on the curb and just catching the grass a little bit on the outside as well, I think, then, which really did cause a few troubles. Now we've got some more side-by-side. Andreas Nilsson wants through on John Pat Kelly. He's not having any of it through Mahula, though, is John, as he holds on to position for the time being, going through the left at Junsao, and now it's all about power application and staying within ranges as you try and figure out what it exactly is going to be that you have in terms of this race. And we've already seen some big movers going on through the field in the early stages of this one, so just keep that in mind as everyone looks to try and make a way through. Cedric Beale down into the pits then on lap 7 of this race. So a very early stop. Why? Because he ran straight into the back of Liam Buckley over the course of that last lap, completely locked the back end. In fact, he missed Buckley, completely locked up the rear tyres, and found himself skating as far as the gravel.
It's a very, very big moment there, and not what he will have wanted at all. He's come in and got some service done in the process to fix that front wing, but struck down all the way to the tail end of the field. He's come out just ahead of Ray Graffione, who's quite some ways away, and he's put the medium tyres on as well, so going to be trying to go for a long stint. He's got a long ways to go to get home from here, but that's a big shunt.
A huge shunt, and it's big, big dramas as they go through right in the middle of the pack then. As we get a little eye on this, we'll catch it on the Virtual Racing School replay. Cam, take us through it.
Yeah, they're coming side by side through the middle part of the segment. Just looks like they merged into each other more or less.
Oh, well, not ideal at all. It's John Pat Kelly who has run into troubles then, and that was contact with Andreas Nilsson. They've been fighting about for about a lap or so, and that is just the case of John Pat Kelly trying to take the natural racing line, and he's moved over. There is netco contact between them, but John Pat Kelly there close the space, and there wasn't space to close with the nose down the inside.
Yeah, and at that sort of corner, you really can't afford to close someone off, especially with the fact that it actually tightens up on the way towards the following corner. But unfortunately, it has happened what has happened, and unfortunately, those two are going to be finishing their day off rather early.
And an early end to the day is not ideal, because when you get damage in these sorts of machines, you're just hoping it's the front wing. Anything with suspension, that's it. They'll pack up the car and say day's done. It's not going to happen. Still on second and third position though, Matt Wood and of course Jorge Martinez then. The top drivers by iRacing are 1, 2 and 3 in this field, with Matt Wood now having to play defense to the Iberian Jorge Martinez, and Martinez here wants to try and get back in. And remember that Martinez is probably one of the greatest tyre savers in this field.
Yeah, I've certainly seen it in the past where he has some very, very good tyre management and managing to make those tyres last longer than anyone will have possibly thought, especially at previous rounds. So we'll see what he can do here and whether he's going to be able to save enough of that tyre to be able to get to the end and with a rather good strategy, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But nevertheless, he's certainly going to be very, very smooth and trying to conserve those tyres as best as he possibly can.
And tyre conservation, especially in hot conditions like today around a track which does have a lot of undulation change as well, which does rip apart the tyres. It's going to make life difficult here today to work out who's going to be on the right call, the right strategy, and put themselves in the right position. Benjamin van der Herven runs into troubles, drops 2 places. He was side by side with, I believe, Antonino Sugro, and Sugro just runs into the side of him there through the Pinarino corner, and Philip Yates gets one for his troubles.
Yeah, he certainly does, but not going to get it, well, have it for very long, because here comes Benjamin back around the outside to take that position straight back off him, so gets back into position. It was just a minor little bit of contact as well between himself and Silver that caused that bit of a check-up. And now here comes Ruska to try and make a move on Philip Yates as they head down the front straight. DRS for both of them, and around the outside is looking like Ruska, but he's not quite going to be able to get it done. But Benjamin Hooven rounds right wide, and that's going to allow now Yates to send it back up the inside and try to get the position off him. And Ruska sitting in the back with nowhere to go, and 2 by 2 behind them with Nilsson and also Clint Siemens.
Oh, they're all battling here. Van der Herven holding on then as Yates has to just be cautious here on that inside. Still they fight. Van der Herven trying to find a way through. This one going on for 12th and 13th position on the road. And Van der Herven with the inside up at Ferradura still can't get it done. It's been half a lap's worth of battling here, 2/3 of a lap. And suddenly, door opens and it's now freight train season, because here comes Ruska around the outside. Yates just about holding on, but he's got no power on the exit here. So Ruska's going to pick this one up at Pico de Pato. Nielsen then locks it up. Both of the tyres on the inside, and bang, door shut. No chance there from Philip Yates. Nielsen was already through. Klaus Siemens wants in.
Yeah, certainly was. And everyone wants to Ruska run wide, and that's going to drop him in behind Siemens, and all of them will take that position straight off him. So he's now going to have to try and work his way back up through those positions. But here he comes back on Klaus Siemens to start to see a few drivers start to make some pit stops.
Yeah, it's a Laws who has come down in and made a stop. He will get himself out and away again pretty swiftly. Siemens gets the move done then on Isaac Ruska then to pick that position. A Laws comes out just ahead of all of these drivers, as now Adam Webb and Travis Venanzi here having a big scrap now for 9th and 10th place, or which is now 8th and 9th place at the moment on the road. That was a case of Adam Webb getting right up to the rear and very nearly finding it, but he's completely missed the apex of the next corner, and this is just going to allow a Laws back in, who is on another set of the soft compound tyre, I do believe, trying to make sure that he gets himself as high up through the field as possible here, with probably a 2 if not 3 stop strategy.
You're certainly going to be trying to make those softs work as possible, like as best as they can, but we'll see what they do, whether they try and get home from here. It's going to be a very, very hard task with a long ways to go, but we'll certainly have to wait and see. But Markin is certainly putting a lot of pressure on Matt Wood still, and he's closed that gap up ever so slightly and starting to get within range of possibly getting a move done next time by. If he can stay close enough, he should be able to get him into turn 1, but we'll have to wait and see. But certainly he's been just biding his time and being very, very patient. There's been a bit of drama further back.
Antonino Sugro is not happy. He dropped the place to, I believe that was Andreas Nielsen, dived down into the pit. and got himself on the limiter, and he wasn't quite happy with something, not quite sure what, but Ruska followed him in, and in fact Ruska missed the pit lane by a mile. I think he's missed it by far too far as he went on in. He might get another penalty for how far he's actually had to go and reverse that. He's lucky he's not got himself disqualified on the spot there for going backwards.
Yeah, he's very, very lucky, and it could have been much worse, but yeah, we'll have to see what... Yeah.
So Matteo Ugolotti then pits on lap 14. Matt Wood follows straight on suit. That gives Jorge Martinez the race lead then as they go on forward. Wood still in the lane, and for a long time as Ugolotti's going to come out then just in front of Thomas Knoll and Fabrizio Maisani, who is a lap down at this stage. So good pit stop there from Matteo Ugolotti. Not so good of a pit stop. Matt Wood, he's now going to fight with Liam Buckley.
Yeah, not what Matt will have wanted at all, to come out in traffic, and he's unfortunately going to have to deal with it. Manages to get on by swiftly, but certainly not what he will have wanted at all, to come out with a bit of traffic in front of him.
Always difficult. Jan Shatinsky into pits, class Siemens as well. Out of pits as well comes Adam Webb. Pit stops going to be busy today for these pit crews. This is 2/3 of what is a traditional Formula One race event, so 2/3 distance, so they've got that to just keep in the back of the minds as Ugolotti then effectively has the race lead, but Jorge Martinez, I think, is going to try and stretch this one out as long as he can. How good is he going to be on the tyres? Well, he's on a 1:11.8 on that last lap. That was his quickest lap of the race so far. So how's his tyres feel right now, Cam? Absolutely spiffing.
Yeah, he certainly looked after them very, very well, if that's the case, with the fact that he's doing personal bests at the moment, but we'll have to clearly wait and see what the advantage is going to be in the likes of Matt Wood and likes of Ugolotti when they come through next time by. But certainly we want to think about pitting soon if they are going to be in a slightly better position, but if he can make that overcut work, he will be in a really good spot.
More pitters in. Travis Fernanzi dives down into the lane side by side into turn one, as well as Kent Nielsen fights off Benjamin van der Herven for place, and that is a very good bit of work there from Kent Nielsen, who's actually just got himself a bit of lap back as he's tried to push on forward. So Kent Nielsen unlaps himself, then Liam Buckley has just come out of the pits in a pretty handy position as well. It's very tough to follow at this stage who is where, but you've got Martinez leads, Branch second, Ugolotti currently in third position, Matt Wood fourth as Thomas Knoll did dive down into the pits. He is out and away again, of course. He's ahead of Philip Yates, who is yet to address his pit stop at the moment. In comes Dennis Branch then to make his stop from second position.
Yeah, so we'll see where Branch ends up popping out. Probably going to end up popping out back where he came, well, where he was prior to everybody else pitting. Matt Wood comes on through, so he's going to drop in behind Matt at least, and looks like he's going to end up back in P4 with the fact that Knoll is too far back.
And Thomas Knoll being too far back is going to mean that there isn't going to be much you can say about it. He's lost the position to Laws, who has done a really wonderful undercut, actually, over the course of this stint. And look at how much, actually, Echo Laws has gained. He's got number 20 in terms of this one. He is from Club Iberia at this stage. And, well, Eka is just behind Dennis Branch. So we'll see how that one plays out then the longer that this race goes on.
Yeah, certainly keep an eye on it and see how it's going to end up playing out with those new tyres on Branch's car, but it's going to be quite some time. Martinez, though, decides to come down onto the lane now, so we'll see where he's going to end up popping out in relation to everybody else.
Yep, so into the pits we see Jorge Martinez, the race leader on lap 17. He decides that it's his call. End of 16, start of 17. Ugolotti will regain the race lead. Matt Wood should fly by into second position, but Martinez here going 17 laps on that, I think may have just opened up one-stop possibilities here. He goes back out, though, onto another set of the soft compound tyre, so he feels like, oh, he absolutely gets close to the arm car on the outside of pit exit. He's lucky he's not clobbered that, but Martinez here, he is trying to make that two-stop very, very evenly, which will give him a huge tyre advantage at the end of the race.
Yeah, it certainly will, and it'll give him a very, very good advantage at the moment as it is, with the fact that he's got the freshest tyres on the track, so we'll see what he can do from here, and whether he's going to be able to make up that time, but certainly a very, very close shave on the pit exit with the fact that he dropped 2 wheels into the grass and nearly put it in the arm car. That could have been so much worse for him if he didn't manage to pull it up.
Lap 17 then, it is Matteo Ugolotti who leads. Matt Wood then in second, and Jorge Martinez comes back out in third place. Dennis Branch in fourth. Eka Alors is fifth with Thomas Knoll sixth. There's Liam Buckley then in seventh. Kamashane then in eighth. Adam Webb ninth. And recovering after that very early pit stop, Cedric Beale finds himself now in 10th position in this one. Still got battles going on. Kleber Toffoli trying to recover through the field. He's got the back of Antonino Sugro here, the Italian, looking to try and make sure that he gains places through the pack.
Definitely trying his best to make his way through the pack, and it's very, very busy in that mid-pack as well at the moment. Certainly don't want to be making any sort of mistakes with the fact how close it is, but he's lining up Toffoli as best as he can. As Philip Yates should have DRS this time by, and he's going to have Kent Nielsen just in behind him as well, so he has to be a little bit aware of that too, but he's closing that gap up, but probably not quite going to be enough to get a move done at turn 1 this time.
Oh, he's so late on the brakes, and in fact, he's so late, he nearly had a chance around the outside, runs out of road. Remember, Kent Nielsen is 1 lap down in this race at the moment, so he is not fighting for position in this pack. Behind that, you've got Andreas Nielsen, so you've got Nielsen together, and that is Nielsen trying to dive down the inside, and Yates having absolutely none of it. You are lap traffic, do not try that with me, sunshine. Someone who's having a really good race at the moment, quiet one, I think is the right way to say it at the moment, because he hasn't come in and made a stop yet. Jonathan Osherly, he is up 12 positions so far, up from 25th to 13th, but he is due that pit stop, of course, and he's done very well, actually, in terms of the way that he is running his race at the moment on the yellow wool medium compound tyres.
Yeah, certainly running not too bad at the moment is Oshlim, and trying to move his way through the field on those medium wall compound tyres. He's doing quite well for himself, but at the moment he's got his hands full with Antonio Sugro. He's going to look to size him up on the way down towards turn 1, going to have DRS, and going to make that pass reasonably easy as they head down the front straight, closing that gap rapidly, and fires it to the inside to get that move done.
Yeah, but it's not guaranteed here as they go through turn 2. He does fire around the outside, and he gets well out of the way of everyone. He's not racing these drivers today, so he makes sure that they all get those places. So up one goes Yates, up one goes to Foley, gets a lap back, does Kent Nielsen, and now here will come Andreas Nielsen trying to pick up that move. On the inside will comfortably manage that one as well. So another place gain as they go on through and figure things out, but now they've got to be very cautious about the way that they drive through here in this race. We're into the mid part of this race. We're on lap 20 here of 47, so those who are looking to try and make their strategies work, this is where your fruits of your labour, so to speak, can come into bloom.
Yeah, they certainly do at this point in the race with where we are, but certainly looking like Jorge Martinez has closed that gap down quite a bit, and he's set the fastest lap of the race too, so he's got some massive pace in that car at the moment as it's all going on still in that mid-pack, with the fact that you've got the likes of Nielsen trying to fight his way back through the field. He's got past Nielsen, but Yates is now dealing with the likes of Oshlim, who's trying to drag race him down the front straight, but just about going to come out in front in the end is Yates.
Yeah, easily done. And on the back, they've got Jan Stratinsky as well. That was all caused by Kent Nielsen taking all of the road away from Philip Yates, who would have had every right to be a little bit aggrieved by lap traffic racing that aggressively with him there. But of course, it is the prerogative of the lap car to make sure that he is in a good position. Of course, they're run by the official iRacing rulebook here in this one. Of course, Nim Cross and the entire stewarding crew of course, have a very difficult job of trying to work out things as is at this moment in time. So just keep that in the back of the mind as things do continue on. Martinez, though, in second position, is running some wonderful lap times. His last lap was a 1:11.2 out there on track, which is the fastest lap of the race by 0.2 of a second. So Martinez is absolutely flying on that new set of soft compound tyres.
Yeah, he certainly is, and that gap is just rapidly closing to Matt Wood as well. Matt Wood only managing an 11.6 last time by, so some massive pace differential in that car at the moment, and Marquez certainly with the advantage in terms of pace, and he's managed to get within DRS range as well on this lap alone, so he will be in a very, very good position when they head into turn 1, and he'll be all over the back ready to bounce.
And the one thing they also need to be worried about here in terms of this race is just how much lap traffic there is going to be. This is split into 2 splits today of 26. I think only a couple drivers more and we'd have been in 3 split territory, so it's definitely going to be a tough day for the leaders to get by traffic as Matteo Ugolotti puts a lap down on Isak Ruska. But the key here now for Marquez is, well, how much pace can he get as he sets another one through, and that's Ruska in the fence.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's not what he will have wanted at all. It's looking like it's been a reasonably big hit as well with the way that that's come off.
That's a tank slapper. That's a huge tank slapper we catch on the virtual racing school replay. He just had himself all unsettled through the first part of the corner, and then through that second part, turn 5 of the Interlagos, he is hard into the fence as he goes through. We're at turn 3 right now as we look at things. So he let Ugolotti go, and then it's all about power. He can't put the power down through 4. He struggles a little bit on the exit here, has a little wiggle, gathers it up, but the tyres are heated up because he slid it, and then bang, look how aggressive that tank slapper is.
Yeah, his tyres certainly didn't like him at all at that point, and then pretty much just gave up and said, nope, we're not having any of it. So unfortunately, that's going to be his race done. But Marquez is sizing up Matt Wood, but again, not quite going to be close enough this lap, at least on the run into turn 1. So he's going to have to try and wait another lap from this point on.
He's trying everything here as Marquez. He's closing in at 0.3 of a second a lap. He gets DRS here on this back straight, looking towards turn 4 at the Interlagos, but he's not going to find the move just yet. It's going to be tough, but he needs to run up the hill if he wants to try and make that one happen. You can attack here at 6, but again, these vehicles here, these Formula 1 style vehicles from about 2014, the MP4-30, are tough to get by with because you create so much turbulent air.
You certainly do, especially through this middle sector where you're constantly turning into sharp corners and keeping up a lot of speed as well. So certainly it takes a lot of dirty air, or puts a lot of dirty air on the car behind, and certainly makes passing quite difficult and catching as well. But Marquez is again close, but just doesn't quite seem to be able to get the drive off the second to last corner. So we'll see if he can get close enough into turn 1 at least this time by, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
No, it certainly doesn't look like it's the right way forward. Nope, not going to happen then into turn 1, turn 2. And this is where it starts to cost Marquez in terms of his race right now, Cam, because he needs those places. But the big issue is he can't get by, so he's losing time.
Yes, certainly. Although, watching on board on the way into turn 1, he actually lifted out of it. He didn't continue to keep his foot in it all the way down towards the braking zone. So I find that rather interesting, possibly just being a little bit conservative, trying to manage those tyres and get them to the end, possibly.
Potentially that could be the case, but for Jorge Marquez, I don't think it's to the end. I think he wants to put in 2 stints of 17 or so, which gives him a 14-lap attack at the end of this race. He's got real opportunities here if he wants to pick up that second position. Potentially even a race win could be on the cards, because now you start to get into that heavy lap traffic here if you're Matteo Ugolotti, because it all stacks up to Antonino Sugro, because he's got Toffoli there fighting with Nielsen and Yates. Then you've got Stratinsky, Osherham and Griffey Owen, and then you've got Van der Hoeven before you get to there, and that's all within about a 10-second window. Now would be a good time to come in and go onto the tyres, as Toffoli has very much just dropped a position there, completely outbraking himself on the attack. In fact, it's going to be 2 because here comes Yates.
Yeah, certainly a big mistake there from him, and he's not going to be too happy with himself as a result of that, but he's going to try his best as Philip Yates, but he's possibly not quite going to get the move done in the end, unfortunately.
No, he tried everything, but he wasn't there. Look at Nielsen now looking to attack Antonino Sugro. He's looked very good here in terms of attacking. Sugro's run wide through the Bica de Pato. Suddenly you're on the outside of Mahulo, and that is pure power around the outside from Andreas Nielsen, but well scouted and defended. In fact, it might just be a bit too deep from Sugro, and he's going to compromise his run, because here will come Claver Toffoli up the hill.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have him coming up the hill, and He's going to try and get close. He's closing that gap down as best as he can, but not quite getting a move done. He looked like he might have sent it up the inside, but just not quite having enough steam in the end.
It's awkward for Ugolotti here. He has to get past Oshalim, and now Van der Herven gets by Oshalim here, just pulling over to the outside. So Ugolotti finds a way through. They were in touch with that battle. Here comes Marquez down the inside here for second place, and he gets it done at turn 1. So Jorge Marquez finally picking off the move, and at the right time as well, because there was a little bit of a hold up there for Matteo Ugolotti, one that he couldn't afford to be stuck behind.
Yes, certainly one that he couldn't afford to be stuck behind, but a very, very solid and easy move by Marquez to get up the inside and well timed. So we'll see what he can do here, and he's going to just start to pull away from Matt Wood at a reasonably quick rate. So we'll see what he can do from here.
Toffoli's off, and Yates is in trouble as well with him. Toffoli spin on the outside, caught the grass slightly as he was losing it. Yates takes a huge chunk with nowhere to go in that incident, and that one ends in tears between those two as Griffione will pick one up.
Yeah, it certainly does end in tears, unfortunately. Just nowhere to go as well for Yates, unfortunately, and that's going to probably be the entire front wing assembly completely destroyed by the looks of it, and it is. So he's going to have to come down onto the lane, unfortunately, and drop well down the order.
Toffoli took a tow, so he is out of this race then with that metric as he goes forward. But these drivers all fighting them out for various places here in this field. It is worth noting that we are still awaiting those second stops which are going to be coming in, and are going to be very much worth keeping an eye out on the board to see who is going to make those decisions as and when they need to. Oshalim coming out of the pits then. Eka Alors then comes in, lap 27. He's done really well on his stint, and he'll be out and away. He was first to stop last time. He'll be first to stop again, working once more for the undercut. He'll have to go 20 laps on that final set then of soft compound tyres.
Yeah, we'll certainly have to get them to the end, but not too hard of a job with the fact that he doesn't have too much longer left in this race, so he'll try and push as hard as he can, but I don't think he'll really anything will come of it at least. But on the way down at the front straight in Shubczynski is Ray Griffione closing quite quickly and starting to become very large in his mirrors as they get down towards turn 1, looks to the inside of Shubczynski, does Griffione, gets that one done very, very easily, and Matteo Ugolotti also getting a move done on Sugo just ahead of him as well.
And the key is he is still losing time. He dropped half a second to Marquez through the traffic that last lap through, which brings the gap down to 7 seconds exactly. It's a big gap for Matteo Ugolotti in the context of this race, but he still has to be careful about how he manages it, because if those tyres do hit a cliff late, then he is going to be in a world of hurt in the final stages of this one. If, of course, that is the case, that Marquez wants to come down in and make another stop in this race overall. We've had some brilliant drives through this field, but what about Cedric Beale at this stage on a medium compound tyre right now here, Cam? He finds himself in 9th position overall, and he's having a really, really good run as he now has to try and fend off Klaus Siemens for that 9th place.
Yeah, he certainly recovered quite nicely, considering he was not in the best position after the first 2 corners and was ending up further down the order. So he's recovered quite nicely at this point in time, and he will try and catch up to Adam Webb and all Elraz, but we'll see what happens and whether he's going to be able to gain any more positions. We'll have to see, and if 2-stop is the way to go, then might just be able to make up enough time.
He might just about, but it's all dependent on how his tyres go into position here for Cedric Beale. He knows he's in a race. As off the road there, that's Jonathan Oshalim, who has made a mistake, and a big mistake actually, down at Junsao. He's run himself straight off the road, and he has clattered the barriers there down at that section of track. So Oshalim in a bit of trouble then as he goes through, but for the time being anyway, it seems like nobody willing to come down in and make that stop at this stage. Now it's Marquez's turn to deal with the traffic. He got that gap down to 6.8 seconds to Matteo Ugolotti, who I think is in complete management mode, as we just see what happened to Oshalim there at Junsao.
Yeah, you can see he just went a little bit too deep and ended up making the barrier in the end, unfortunately, due to not being able to pull it up. And there's no front wing on that car now as a result of that. So going to be a little bit of a
Jonathan,
challenge
you've
to
got
try and get
no.
back round to the pits. He's actually continued on that lap, so quite interesting there. And Beal's actually come down onto the lane, so he's made his second stop and switched onto the softs now. So see what he can do from here, and might find that a lot of people will start to react as a result.
Well, he is just behind Andreas Nielsen as he has come out of the pit. So with Nielsen there, Cedric Beal's got work to do, and he is just about a lap ahead, or a lap behind, sorry, of Matteo Ugolotti. So he'll have that in the back of the mind as well. He doesn't want to really go a lap down here in this one. Eka Laws then in a scrap with Liam Buckley for 6th place. Will look to the inside, try and pick this move off, and gets it comfortably done. It's old softs versus new, and as is the same time 99 times out of 100, Cam, it's the new tyres that win out at the end of the day.
Yes, certainly. With the fact that you've got fresh rubber, it's always going to be in your advantage. So certainly no stopping anyone on those fresh tyres, especially Cedric Beal with those brand new softs. So we'll see if he can make them work as best as he can and move his way through the field. But certainly going to need to start thinking about a second stop if you're around him, with the fact that he's going to start to set some blistering pace.
Exactly. It's all about that pace and where you need to be and what you are planning to do. With that said pace, every position matters. Jan Stratinsky coming in then, looking to make a stop. As in comes from 4th position then, Dennis Branch then in the blue flag racing machine. He's going to be one, hoping that he can just get himself a nice solid finish to this race. Doesn't have the pace of the top 3, but he is in that race with Eka Laws, and that is the big key for him today.
He certainly is, and wanting to make sure that he finishes ahead of him at the moment, and going to be probably doing that at this rate, but we'll have to see what happens. Still a long ways to go in this race, and anything can happen in that space of time that we have left in this race. But Dennis Branch comes out ahead and will keep that position.
Yeah, so Laws has to hold back and hold station. He is in 5th place net on the road right now, with Thomas Knoll due to come in, if not has already, come down into the pit. So those drivers then start those pits come in. Now Echo Laws here has set the fastest lap of the race on his first representative flying lap, or one of them. It was a 1:11.165. It's a wonderful lap time by him, and that has prompted Matt Wood's turn to come down into the pits then. So top 2 stay out, Matt Wood's coming in.
Yeah, certainly. He's decided to come down a little bit earlier compared to everybody else, which is a bit interesting, but we'll see if he can make the undercut work in relation to those, especially Jorge Martinez, who's going to be making those tyres go a little bit longer, possibly even go one stop, but we'll have to see what happens nevertheless. And he's actually closing that gap down quite quickly, is Martinez as well too. Ugolotti 4/10 quicker last time by was Martinez, so that gap is coming down, but probably not at the rate he wants it to.
I tell you what though, Martinez could easily convert this one to a one-stop. Yes, he'll be screaming, or the tyres will be screaming in pain to the end, but figure this one out here, Cam. They are, 15 laps from the end of this race, and Jorge Martinez has been very carefully saving the tyres. He's only 0.3 of a second off of the fastest lap of the race. Tells you all you need to know right now. Martinez here has been doing a wonderful job in this one, and he's got maybe, 3-4 laps fresher tyres than what Ugolotti has. It's for the emphasis of Ugolotti to pit. The gap's just come down to 6 seconds. Ugolotti lost 0.7 on that last lap alone.
Yeah, certainly he did, and he's having to deal with a lot of traffic as a result. So Ugolotti does really need to consider whether he pits or stays out, because he's going to need to consider whether he's going to be able to make up that gap. It's only 6 seconds now, that gap, so it's certainly a lot less than what a pit stop would be, but who knows what's going to happen. And if Ugolotti wants to get out of this traffic and try and hold on to this race win, he might need to pit, but let's see what Martinez can do and whether he's going to be able to hold on to those tyres all the way to the end.
And the track temperature has cooled 5 degrees in this race from where it started. It was up at 42 degrees at the start of this race. It's down to 37 degrees out on track, so the track has significantly cooled, which is going to be helping the tyre life out there on circuit. So keep that in mind as they go through. Ugolotti's got to make a decision. He either pits or he doesn't, and he chooses to pit because he knew as well here, Cam, that if he stayed out and left it too long, he would have been at the mercy
as well. Interesting strategy call by Marquez to come in on this lap specifically rather than wait a few more.
Well, Marquez here, I think, wants a clear strategy. He wants it one-on-one as he goes through, and if he wants to make that stop, he knew he had to make that stop. He's going to lose absolutely nothing by coming in right now and getting himself out and away again. He was 5.5 seconds over the line. I wonder how that stop looked a little bit slow, actually, there from Marquez. So, just maybe, this race is going to be down to can Ugolotti hold on to it, because Marquez has looked fantastic.
Yeah, certainly has, and with the fact that they're now on equal tyre strategies, there's no real advantage in either driver's court, so we'll have to see who's got the raw pace and who's going to be able to take this 1-2 at the finish in first place. But remember, Matt Wood is not too far behind as well, Marquez. He looks like he's closed that gap up a little bit in that pit stop phase, so going to be trying to close up that gap to Marquez, but I don't think it's going to be able to happen with the fact that Marquez is going to have slightly newer tyres.
Yeah, I think Jorge Marquez is in a really good position right now, and Matt Wood can't do anything about it in this race as things stand. We've got a handful of laps to go. We're about 14 laps away from the end of this race, and now it's about the battlegrounds that we see as they all try and set faster and faster laps out here on circuit, as Marquez will make his way past Griffey Owen, who is lap traffic. He lost himself a whole second in that pit stop to the outlap then. So that puts the gap at 6.4 seconds, which even at the best of times, Cam, is an incredibly tough task to close down late in a race.
Yeah, it certainly is a very, very, very tough task, but we'll have to see if anybody's going to be able to make that task a little bit easier and whether they're going to be able to make it happen, but we'll see and we'll wait and see what happens. But certainly Adam Webb trying to do his best at the moment to close the gap down to Liam Buckley, who's not too far up the road, but a very, very good race for Liam Buckley as well. The fact that he's been quietly sitting inside that top 10. Adam Webb's actually done quite well to make his way up through the field, up nearly 10 positions at this point.
Forget Liam Buckley, what a race Tamas Shane is having in 7th place. He's made his stop, so he's good to the end of this race. He stopped on lap 27 out there overall. But the strategy that Shane has put in today to get himself up 8 places has been absolutely fantastic. And he's got Buckley, Webb, Seamitz and Beale all behind him. This is a wonderful drive.
Yeah, it certainly has been actually from Shane, and done very, very well to put himself inside that top 7 at the moment. So see if he's going to be able to hold on to everybody else behind. Probably not quite going to be able to catch up to Thomas Knoll, but certainly not a bad drive at all.
The battle is still on for the top 10 though. You've got Cedric Beale and Klaus Seamitz together on the road here, nose to tail as they find their way through. They've got lap traffic in front of them in the form of Philip Yates, who we saw earlier on in contact there and dramas with Claver Toffoli. But for Cedric Beale, he knows he needs those positions, and Beale has been up there in the championship. He's actually 6th place in the championship coming into this round, mainly because he's been doing very well on the European splits. Looks to the outside trying to make the move here as they go on through. And has he got it all sorted here as they go around the outside, back to the inside? Seamitz holding it around the outside, holds on for now, because here comes turn 4 DRS. Goodbye, Cedric Beale.
Yeah, certainly, but Cedric Beale going to try and keep this one ahead, and it's looking like he's going to be able to do that with great ease at the moment, so we'll see what he can do from here, and he's going to continue to move up the order as Beale. He's got Yates not too far ahead, who is a lap down on him, but Adam Webb and Liam Buckley are going to probably start to get a little bit dicey with each other very, very shortly, so might be able to give him the opportunity that he needs for Beale to close that gap down even more and possibly get involved in this little fight.
Half dozen retirements then today from this race. Nathaniel Porter, Renato Augusto, John Pat Kelly, Fabrizio Meissani and Isak Ruska, along with Claver Toffoli as well. Those are the retirees then from this event, and both of the Brazilians actually in this field are out of this race, which is a real shame to say with the way that they have been eyeing up this round as the final round of the championship. So they'll be hoping that they get maybe a little bit more luck the longer that things go on. We're keeping an eye out though on Andreas Nilsson at the moment, because he has just made a move on Benjamin van der Herve as we catch this on the Virtual Racing School replay.
see around at the outside on the way down through the second last corner, and it's nearly going to happen there, but final corner makes it happen very, very nicely and gets down quite well with that exit drive of using the outside line. So very, very good move there in the end.
Yeah, but he has lost it at turn one. So wide went Van der Herven even, and he lost the position then to both not only Andreas Nielsen but Travis Venanzi as well. So Venanzi is there in 12th place, but Van der Herven is holding on to 13th here in this battle with Andreas Nielsen. This is happening right in front of Jorge Martinez.
Yeah, it certainly is happening right in front of Martinez, and he's not going to be too happy with the fact that they're all getting a little bit dicey in front of him. Makes his way on by Huvenen, but he's still got two more cars that he's got to get on by Nielsen and Venanzi, but we have to see what he can do. He's going to try and get by as quickly as he possibly can, but it certainly won't be helping him in his charge to try and catch up to Ugolotti.
Yeah, Matteo Ugolotti has got clean road at this moment, just set to 110.880 there. Fantastic lap time. It is half a second off the fastest lap of the race, which he set was 110.300. So nothing you can do if you're Jorge Martinez. He's just put himself on an extra planar level here as Matteo Ugolotti. There's nothing he can do about it at this moment in time. I think he will have to be resigned to second position in this one. Liam Buckley, though, keep an eye on his battle right now. He's not resigned to 8th place. He's there in 7th, or he's trying to get 7th off of Thomas Shane. And they've got Adam Webb as well for a little bit of company, who, remember, was completely sideways at turn 1 of this race on the opening lap. He's now fighting it out for a position here inside the final 10.
Yeah, certainly just outside at the top 10, and it's looking like it's going to be a very good scrap as they head through turn 1 now, and it's nearly going to have the position. It is Adam Webb, but he's just going to have to keep on pushing, and he should be able to find it very, very shortly, but certainly is going to be a very tough battle, and Buckley's not going to give this one up easily.
Now, I'm just keeping an eye out here on Ekara Laws. He's fallen behind Thomas Knoll. He's dropped 17 seconds over the course of the last lap. And trying to work out what's happened is the fact that he's had to make a 3rd stop in this race. So Laws has gone for a 3-stop strategy, and if he wants to go out there, pick up a top 5, he's got to get by Thomas Knoll, PD and Q if he wants to try and make this one happen here. Thinking about it at Junsauder Junction, but you've got DRS up this hill if you can go and mastermind your move effectively. This is a very, very quick part of the circuit through Archibancadas and Desquitados boxes as you now make the charge towards turn 1. Here comes Ekara Laws. He'll have to go the long way around if he wants to pick this one off, but on the brakes, looking for the marker post as he goes on through and comfortably gets it done.
He comfortably gets it done around the outside. Was nearly a bit of bump drafting there as well when he pulled out to make the pass, so he got very, very close, but certainly got that job done in the end, and Matt Wood has to make his way through the traffic that Martinez did a few laps prior, so lap traffic starting to become a little bit of a factor in this lead battle at the moment, and just in quite a bit of time, unfortunately, that time by for Matt Wood too.
Yeah, 7/10 of a second, and it absolutely hurts as he tries to get himself close. He had pulled that gap down to 1.4 seconds. It's now up to 1.9 seconds now between Martinez and Wood is just fighting for what he can get here, 2nd place, which will be really good. But it's been the story of his season here, Matt Wood. He's just been second a little bit too often to Matteo Ugolotti, and it's just a case of needing an extra couple tenths of a second a lap, and he's right there in the fight, scrapping out for race victories. He's reliant on drivers like Benjamin Lindsay, who turn up once in a blue moon to try and take points away.
Yes, certainly it does kind of rely on that a little bit, but nevertheless, let's see what he can do here today. And looks like Philip Yates did a moment and ended up towing it back to pit lane, so not what he would have wanted at all, and he's going to be a DNF now as a result of that incident.
Shame there for Philip Yates, so he finds himself out of the event after what looked like a very good showing for him today, but we are now into the final stage. Look at this, Webb, Shane, Buckley, 1, 2, 3, Buckley's through, Shane trying to fight that one back on the inside then as they go through here. Desquitados up the hill for Ferradura next, he's on the outside, he doesn't have the run. Liam Buckley, upper place, then moves up, and Shane's left the door wide open for Adam Webb, who lunges for the inside and picks up the place. And look who's on the back of all of them here. It's Cedric Beale.
Yeah, it certainly is. So this is about to be the moment that Cedric Beale was waiting for so long, and he's finally going to see it happening in front of him. So the opportunity to make up some places is finally going to come his way, and he should be able to get at least one or two, maybe even all three, if he can keep on it pushing with only about 5 or so laps to go this time by.
Exactly, so 6 laps, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, and the all-important lap 47 then ends this race outright for these drivers. Shane will be the first target then for Cedric Beale. Tamas Shane, of course, has been running a great race. He's on the soft compound tyre, as is Cedric Beale right now, who's broken away from Klaus Siemens. But he's got to get those positions quickly if he wants in. Other battles on track also include this one for 16th as Jan Stravinsky and Benjamin van der Herven go out there and scrap.
They are going to be scrapping forward down the field, but Shane's trying to keep Cedric Beale behind him as best as he can, but Beale's certainly charging an absolute rate of knots. It was an 11.7 last time by compared to the 14.6 from Shane, who was in that battle with Buckley and Webb, who were doing 13. So he's got some rapid pace compared to those around him at the moment, does Cedric Beale, so he shouldn't have too many problems getting on by these three in no time.
We have to remember that Tamas Shane was titanically trying to hold places, as that is Travis Venanzi trying to get through Ray Griffey-Owens. So maybe a chance right now to see positions change there in that little scrap, but the opportunity then not quite there for Travis at the moment. He will just have to wait and be patient in the next few moments, see whether he can pick that one up in the last 5 laps then that they have available. Adam Webb, though, he's not giving up here against Liam Buckley, who spent most of the race on his own. Webb is there ahead by about a 1/10 of a second or so.
Yes, certainly. He's not giving this one up at all, and certainly making it Buckley work for it, but Buckley's making Webb work for it as well. So it's very, very close battle between these two at the moment, and then you've got that close battle between Shane and Beale, who still hasn't made his way on by this lap, or in the last 2 laps at least. So we're starting to equalise out on pace by the looks of it, but certainly going to be a bit of a challenge for these two to make their way on through and gain a position.
Well, it's always tough to try and make a move. You've got to pick up the places exactly where you need to. And Tamas Shane, I think, is driving around in such a way that makes him very difficult to overtake out on circuit. You can see he just gets such a good run out of the corners where Cedric Beale struggles in the turbulent air, and that's why you're seeing here those positions not changing places. Not because Cedric Beale isn't quick enough, he just doesn't have the ability to put the power down with as much earliness and eagerness to try and make that move. He can't get there at this stage, Cam, and that is a problem because it's the same Murray Walker adage that has been used a million times before. It's the most quoted line that you'll ever find from any commentary in any motorsport ever. Catching is one thing, passing is another.
Yeah, it certainly is, and especially around this sort of track, and especially when you're around someone who's running basically the same exact pace you are. So it makes it compounds the issue quite a bit compared to what you normally find where you have a lot of long straights, can use that DRS or draft to your advantage, but certainly going to be a lot of work here for Beale and Webb to try and find an extra position or two.
Well, they've got themselves 3 laps when they cross the line, or maybe a bit less, depending on if they get caught come the end of this race by Matteo Ugolossi. Shouldn't happen, but they could do in the late stages of this one. But now you've got to start wondering here, has Cedric Beale used all his tyre life as well in this battle for 9th and 10th position, just to get to the back of Shane and Webb and Buckley?
Yes, certainly. And going to be trying as best as Klaus Siemens to try and close that gap down, and if they all start fighting, they might stand a chance at being able to get into this battle as well for these top 10 positions. But still, they're all running very, very reasonable lap times, and still all very, very close, that to the point where you could almost say no one's going to pass at this point, with the fact that there's absolutely nothing separating them.
Benjamin van der Herven then is side by side with Antonino Sugro, and there's contact. Round goes van der Herven into Sugro, both of whom get damage, and it is van der Herven who is able to run away just about. as they go through. So Sugro finds himself in trouble. Catches the Virtual Racing School replay. Of course, Virtual Racing School helping sponsor us here this year with us at SimSpeed TV. You can see Van der Herven gets it all done on the outside. It's just a case of Sugro running into his space.
Yeah, it just does look like it's a little bit of just forcing him too wide, unfortunately, in contact ensues between those two, and Sugro unfortunately losing his front wing in the process. And Bill has indeed got the move done on Tamashane and did it at turn 4 as well, around the outside. So very, very nice move there from Bill to gain the place, and now on the charge for the likes of those ahead, Adam Webb and also Liam Buckley, and tried to come back at him, did Tamashane, but just not quite in the end. And now Seaman's right in this little pack here.
But it wasn't just turn 4, he had to go through 5 to the outside of Ferradura, and he couldn't get it all sorted here, so he had to go around the outside of the Larentina corner here. This tough this tough right-hander inside at the Pinarino, and it is wonderfully concocted there by Cedric Beale to move up into the 9th position. Now Tamashane is fighting for a top 10 here, late on in this one, with a lap and a half of his race to go. Try and figure this out. Meanwhile, Matteo Ugolotti is on the final lap of his season, and he knows that he has driven an absolutely faultless drive at this moment in time. He has been driving this season with the same level of intensity he has had for a very long time. We saw last season at Watkins Glen, he put a threat to everyone by winning that race, saying, you know what, if I can do a full season, every single one of you is going to be in trouble. But cresting the hill for the final time and making his drive to the line, he is the champion-elect, and he weaves in dedication to show it. Matteo Ugolotti is your 2021 Season 1 iRacing Grand Prix Series champion.
And what a way to finish it off with a win as well to stamp his authority even more. Martinez is going to come home in second with Matt Wood to round out the podium, and it looks like it's going to be fairly well sealed as well, with a 4th place finish for Dennis Branch and 5th place for Eka Loris. But we'll see what's going to happen between the likes of Adam Webb, and they've come together, Buckley and Webb, and that's going to all cause them to go over and up and over.
Oh my word, Adam Webb has started this race exactly how he finished it, sideways, and this time upside down as well. Virtual Racing School replay, we've got to try and unload that one here from Adam Webb. They were side by side up the hill, and on the brake it was Webb who self-inflicted that one by locking the rear axle up under the brakes, and then found himself into the side, and then Cedric Beale just clatters in with nowhere to go. So Buckley survived, as does Shane, and Klaus Tiemet, of all people, tries to take advantage of all of this, and in fact gets both Beale and Shane to the line, and it's Beale who's the big loser in all of that, as he's crabbing horribly to try and finish.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's got no front wing, so he had no front grip whatsoever, and ended up playing into the wall as well on the way towards the start-finish line. So he ended up coming home in 10th in the end, after looking like he could have had a 7th place finish.
Yes, and Adam Webb then will just about get in before the timer does, so he will be classified as finished then on the leading lap, as he just crosses the start-finish line, a minute 39 off the pace. But let's get official classifier results as donuts galore come in from Matteo Ugolotti. Every reason to be excited then as he picks up his title. He can be really, really happy with the way that he's worked that up, as he just brushes against the pit wall there as he goes and celebrates with everything that he has got for him. Confirmation then of result then. He is champion-elect, and he's doing doughies to show for it. Matteo Ugolotti wins in 56 minutes and 39 seconds. He wins by 9.7 come the end over Jorge Martinez, with Matt Wood coming home in 3rd place, his main title rival. Dennis Branch will take 4th, with Eka Allures having a wonderful breakout drive, 13th, 5th today. He finished up 8 places on an alternative strategy. Thomas Knoll, he gets 6th place, with 7th going over to Liam Buckley in what was a dramatic last lap for those drivers. Siemens profiteering 3 places in the end, up to 8th place, with Tamas Shane 9th, Cedric Beale and Adam Webb walking wounded over the line on the leading lap to 10th and 11th place.
Yeah, certainly. Webb, unfortunately, having that moment on the last lap and be the last car on the lead lap as well. Andreas Nielsen will be in 12th. Ray Griffion, Trev Venanzi and Benjamin Hovinen rounding out the top 15. Jan Strutinsky, Kent Nielsen, Antonio Sugro, followed by Jonathan Ashlam and Philip Yates rounding out the top 20.
Now we're firmly into retirement. Yates, of course, was the first one in 20th position, but Kleber Toffoli out of the race after contact with Yates. Isak Ruska in trouble as well. Retirement for him. Fabrizio Maisani out of the race, as well as John Pat Kelly. And then the early retirements, both coming together. Reynaldo Augusto and Nathaniel Porter, both failing to make it home today in the final round of Interlagos. But ladies and gentlemen, we can confirm that hopefully we'll be seeing another season of the iRacing Grand Prix Series here with us on SimSpeed TV. And next season you can catch that. And of course, next season starts in 2 weeks' time. But there is so much more coming up with SimSpeed TV, which will be coming up in the next week. It's week 13, which means it is when the build comes out. We get quite a few different series. Do not forget that on Thursday night, we'll be going over towards Max Bantz, or Thursday morning, depending on where you live in the world. So we'll have that in perspective to try and work with as well. So keep an eye out on that. On Friday, we have the V8 Scop Support Series, which will be coming fully into progress, as well as more on the horizon. On top of that, we will have, of course, V8 Scops coming to you round 2 from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, as well as the Majors Series, which will be in full display as well. So make sure you put that in your calendar with us on SimSpeed TV for week 13 coverage. In terms of who gets it done for us, a massive thanks goes to the Virtual Racing School, who have been sponsoring the replays for us over the course of this season. From, of course, Scott Fountain, who has been recovering quite nicely from a health scare last week. We thank him for still being with us and putting up with us here over the course of the season. From Cameron Dance alongside me, my name's Jake Sperry. It is dominance for Matteo Ugolotti. He built up a big buffer early, had a little scare in the middle when he lost his A-class license, but he fought his way back through Long Beach last week. And here at Interlagos, he has proven why he is a very worthy champion. Next season, though, it may be all about title defense. So can he go and continue to work with what he's got available to him? Or is this going to be a case of maybe, just maybe, someone else stepping up to the plate? We'll see you next time here with the iRacing Grand Prix Series on SimSpeed TV.